Tonight, a warning from the NAACP, the organization urging people of color not to travel to Florida. The group issuing a formal travel advisory in direct response to what they say is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' aggressive attempts to erase Black history and restrict diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in Florida schools. New tonight, Georgia's NAACP chapter also saying to stay away. The Georgia NAACP president spoke with us today. Atlanta News First reporter Yasmina Alston is live for us in Midtown. So, Yasmina, why is our state's chapter sending such a strong message to Florida's governor?
Yeah, well, Carly, Georgia's NAACP president says that hate is just not good for business. And he says that this travel advisory is a strong message to not only Florida's governor, but to governors across the country. A travel warning to Florida, the NAACP calling the state hostile for Black Americans under Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
This is the first steps towards making sure we protect our history, make sure we protect our diversity and inclusion, make sure we protect the rights, civil rights we fought so hard for. And people in government need to understand that racist rhetoric will provide for strong consequences. I think Florida's learning today.
Georgia's NAACP President Gerald Gregg says they're supporting the advisory given the state's current political climate. Governor DeSantis taking on what he calls woke ideology.
The state of Florida is where woke goes to die.
Banning certain race-based teachings and lessons on sexual orientation and gender identity in schools.
Anytime you come for African American voting rights, their rights to teach their children accurate history, and also diversity and inclusion, you can expect a strong response from Black people.
The oldest civil rights organization in the country advises before traveling to Florida to, quote, understand the state devalues and marginalizes the contributions of and the challenges faced by African Americans and other communities of color. Gregg says the advisory shows hate is just not good for business, calling it a strong message for Governor DeSantis and governors around the country.
I plan on going to the beaches here in Savannah, I plan on going to the mountains in Georgia, plan on going to Alabama or South Carolina, or better beaches in the Bahamas. I'm not going to Florida.
And the NAACP is not the only organization to speak out. The League of United Latin American Citizens also warning Latinos to avoid traveling to Florida after the governor signed a new immigration law. Live in Atlanta, Yasmina Alston, Atlanta News First.
Yasmina, thank you.